Japan is eyeing an early transfer of warships and aircraft to the Philippines after the country's biggest overhaul of defense export rules in decades.
Thank Japan once again for its review of the three principles on the transfer of defense equipment and technology and its implementing guidelines. And we were very happy to work with Japan in creating demonstrable results at the soonest possible time.
On May 5th, 2026, Japan's Defense Minister Shinjiro Koizumi walked into Manila and signed a deal that nobody believed Japan would sign just 2 years ago. Standing beside Philippine Defense Secretary Gilberto Teodoro Jr., he agreed to start the early transfer of Japanese warships to the Philippine Navy. The target ships are 6 Abukuma-Class destroyer escorts. They are stealth-shaped, missile-armed, and built for hunting submarines. And according to Teodoro, Japan is not selling them. Japan is donating them.
For the warm hospitality during my visit. I would also like to express my sincere gratitude for the opportunity to pay a courtesy call on President Marcos. During the Japan-Philippines Defense Ministers meeting we have just held, Secretary Teodoro and I had a very productive and substantive discussion on defense cooperation between our two countries.
This is not a small story. This is the moment Japan's 80-year arms export ban finally cracked open in Asia. And it cracked open right where China did not want it to. Let us walk through what happened, why it matters, and what comes next.
I would like to thank Minister Koizumi. He has just come from Indonesia and Australia, countries with whom we have robust defense partnerships in very important engagements. And
Koizumi flew into Manila straight from Jakarta, where he had just signed a defense cooperation deal with Indonesia the day before. In Manila, he held closed-door talks with Teodoro and then with President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. at Malacanang Palace. Out of those talks came one signed agreement and one big promise. The agreement sets up a joint working group between the two defense ministries. The working group will handle the policy, the operations, the maintenance, the training, and the information sharing needed to move the ships from one fleet to the other.
Also, Secretary Teodoro and I welcomed the significant progress that has been made in Japan-Philippines defense cooperation, both in institutional frameworks and operations.
The promise was speed. Koizumi told reporters the goal is to discuss the number of ships and the timing of the transfer, and reach a conclusion at an early time. Teodoro added that both sides had already agreed in principle. Working groups, he said, are now finalizing the details. To understand why this matters, you have to understand what Japan was just 2 weeks ago. Since the end of World War II, Japan has lived under a strict pacifist constitution. For decades, exporting lethal weapons abroad was simply not allowed. Then, on April 21, 2026, the cabinet of Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi approved a major change. Japan now sorts defense gear into 2 boxes: weapons, which means lethal systems like warships, tanks, and missiles, and non-weapons, which means radars, sensors, and protective gear. Lethal exports are now possible. They have to be reviewed by Japan's National Security Council. And they can only go to countries that have a defense and technology transfer deal with Japan. Japan currently has those deals with 17 nations. The Philippines is one of them. This is the legal door that just swung open. The Abukuma transfer is the first major naval platform to walk through it. According to the Japan Times, This would be Japan's first export of an entire major warship class in decades. The Abukuma-Class were built between 1988 and 1993. There are 6 of them. They were designed to hunt submarines and to fight surface ships in the waters around Japan. Each ship is 109 meters long, displaces about 2,500 tons fully loaded, and runs on a mix of gas turbines and diesel engines. Top speed is around 27 knots. Crew size is 120 sailors. Their loadout in Japanese service includes a 76 mm Otobreda main gun, a phalanx close-in weapon system for last-ditch missile defense, 8 Harpoon anti-ship missiles, an ASROC anti-submarine rocket launcher, and triple torpedo tubes on each side. They were also the first Japanese destroyer escorts to use stealth shaping to reduce their radar signature. Now here is the catch the Philippine Navy has known about since the inspection talks began in 2025. Under Japan's old transfer rules, weapon systems were stripped out before any export. The ships were going to arrive as hulls, not as ready warships. The new April 2026 rules changed the math. Japan can now consider transferring the lethal gear too.
And its implementation guidelines will further strengthen Japan's contribution to peace and stability in the region and the world.
According to the Associated Press, the eased rules allow Japan to look at sending up to all 6 Abukumas, and the ships could be used for patrols and detecting aerial, sea surface, and undersea threats. The first Abukuma is set to retire from Japanese service in 2027. The timing is not an accident. The Philippine Navy already has a clear gap in its fleet, and it is exactly the gap these ships were built to fill: anti-submarine warfare. Right now, the Philippines has only a handful of ships that can hunt submarines. The 2 Jose Rizal-class frigates from South Korea, the new Miguel Malvar-class frigates, and a few AW-159 Wildcat helicopters do most of the work. That is not much for a country with one of the longest coastlines on Earth and an exclusive economic zone the size of a small continent. China's submarine fleet, by contrast, keeps growing.
Well, the Philippine Navy, through its intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance capabilities, monitored 2 PLA Navy ships.
Captain John Percy Alcos of the Philippine Navy Public Affairs Office has said the Abukumas line up well with the Navy's operational requirements. He noted they are similar in size, speed, and length to the Jose Rizal-class frigates already in service. That means familiar logistics, familiar training pipelines, and faster integration into the comprehensive archipelagic defense concept, also known as CADC, which is the strategy guiding all of the Philippines' modernization moves. There is also a smaller but useful piece of the deal: the TC-90 patrol aircraft. Japan donated 5 TC-90s to the Philippines between 2017 and 2018 for maritime surveillance. More are now on the table.
To the ongoing U.S.-Philippines hosted multilateral exercise Balikatan 26, we were able to bring in equipment to the Philippines and participate in more advanced training, which had not been possible previously. As a result, the quality and the quantity of the exercise have improved dramatically. This includes the first ever live fire training of surface-to-ship missile conducted by Japan in the Philippines.
The signing did not happen in a quiet office in Tokyo. It happened in Manila during Balikatan 2026, the largest joint exercise the Philippines has ever hosted. More than 17,000 troops from countries including the United States, Japan, Australia, Canada, France, and New Zealand are taking part. Japan alone deployed 4,100 personnel under the Reciprocal Access Agreement that entered force in September 2025. The day after Koizumi signed the destroyer deal, he traveled to Pauay in Ilocos Norte to watch a live-fire maritime strike drill. During that drill, Japanese forces fired the Type 88 Surface to ship missile in the Philippines for the first time. The target was a decommissioned World War II-era Philippine warship, sunk about 40 kilometers offshore. President Marcos watched the strike by video from Manila. Read those facts together. A Japanese minister signs a destroyer transfer in Manila on Tuesday. A Japanese missile sinks a target ship in Philippine waters on Wednesday. The message is not subtle. China is not staying quiet. After Japan eased its export rules in April, Foreign Ministry spokesperson Guo Jiakun warned the world would resolutely resist Japan's reckless moves toward a new type of militarism. Chinese state outlets have repeated the same line for weeks. The People's Daily has called Japan's path a clear trajectory toward remilitarization, pointing to 14 straight years of rising Japanese defense spending and a defense budget that has roughly doubled since 2022.
Let me reiterate our gratitude and our sincerest warm welcome for your visit today on the commemoration of our 70th year of bilateral relations and the first operationalization of our SOFA, which came into force.
During the May 5 press conference in Manila, Koizumi and Teodoro pushed back in their own way. They issued a joint statement raising serious concern about China's intensifying coercive activities in both the East China Sea and the South China Sea. They said both countries reject any attempt to change the status quo by force. This is the part most people miss. The Abukuma deal is not just about hardware. It is about a network. Japan is signing defense agreements with Indonesia, deepening them with the Philippines, deploying troops to Balikatan, and lining up future deals with Vietnam, Malaysia, and India. Beijing is watching a regional security web tighten around the South China Sea, and every new strand makes the next one easier to add. Two big questions still hang over the Abukuma deal. The first is legal. Even with the new rules, Japanese law still blocks the transfer of used lethal defense gear for free or at a very low cost. According to a Yomiuri Shimbun report cited by the Japan Times, the Japanese government is considering a revision to the Self-Defense Forces law in the next ordinary session of parliament. That revision would allow lethal used equipment to be exported at little or no cost. Without that change, the donation Teodoro mentioned will need a workaround. The second question is sustainment. The Lowy Institute has noted that even refurbished warships of this age usually have only 10 to 15 extra years of service life. The Philippine Navy will need bigger berths, deeper logistics, and steady spending to keep them sailing. Right now, Manila is already absorbing 6 Raja Sulaiman-class offshore patrol vessels from South Korea, 2 more Tarlac-class landing platform docks from Indonesia, and another Miguel Malvar-class frigate, all due by 2028. The infrastructure is racing to keep up. The next milestone is political. President Marcos will make the first state visit to Japan by a Philippine president in over a decade next month. It is not yet clear if a final Abukuma announcement will come during that visit, but the symbolism is hard to miss. Step back and look at what really happened on May 5th, 2026. A Japanese defense minister stood on Philippine soil and signed papers to send warships to a country that Japanese troops once occupied. 80 years after the end of the war, Tokyo and Manila have flipped the script entirely. They are not enemies. They are partners building a maritime defense line in the same waters that defined World War II in the Pacific. That line is being built because both countries see the same thing on the other side of it. China's Coast Guard, Maritime Militia, and Navy are operating more aggressively in the South China Sea, the East China Sea, and around Taiwan than at any point in modern memory. Japan and the Philippines have decided that responding alone is no longer enough. So here is the real question. Will the Abukuma transfer be a one-time deal? Or is it the first warship in a long line of Japanese platforms heading to Southeast Asia? Sources from Bloomberg to The Diplomat suggest it is the start, not the end. Missile defense systems and even submarines may be next. What do you think? Will this Japan-Philippines partnership actually change China's behavior in the West Philippine Sea? Or will Beijing simply push harder? Share your view in the comments. If this breakdown helped you understand what is happening in the Indo-Pacific, please like the video, subscribe to Indo-Pacific Report, and turn on the bell so you do not miss the next analysis. We will keep tracking every move.